The Workday referral partner, we're being introduced earlier on in the life cycle, and a lot of the times the customer's not even on Workday or they're not even thinking about Workday, right? And I think our responsibility to Workday is to try to facilitate and broker that conversation, and maybe have them start thinking about moving to Workday, or if they're already a little bit farther down the path, what Workday can add to their business. And I think there's a piece that we can, for InTegrum to, add some value there as well through our advisory services practice. And I think, you'd be a big part of that. Walk me through what that looks like earlier on in the life cycle, pre-implementation, or even farther back where they're not even thinking about Workday at the time.
Well, I mean, there's several steps along the way, in that journey, right? First, even just deciding on a solution,
Sure.
right? As you're considering different solutions, including Workday, what that looks like, and what should be kind of the criteria in a solution selection, and
Right.
then in an implementation partner selection as well,
Yeah.
right? A lot of times, uh, potential clients don't even know what are the right questions to ask, right? And so we can play a role that's a very,
Yeah.
neutral role in the sense of coming in and helping a potential client look at different aspects and
Yeah.
what's the right fit for them,
Right.
in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I think also, once let's say there's a decision made to go with Workday, right? There are a lot of things and pains that we've seen other clients go through, right? And those pains tend to be more about the readiness of the organization, right,
Absolutely. Yep.
for change,
Yep.
readiness in terms of things like employee self-service, manager self-service, things of that nature,
Yeah.
right? Just because you can automate something doesn't necessarily mean you should from day one,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so, and there's sometimes a tendency, right, or a temptation to throw everything into the implementation bucket versus creating a roadmap of where you want to go
Yeah.
and what you want
Yeah.
to do kind of from day one versus going on. And I think because of it, a lot of times is because, not having a good, as we've been talking about a lot of times in other sessions, that managed support afterwards and feeling that they're going to have the support that they need for a continuing roadmap, so they want to
Yeah.
put everything in. So it's a
Exactly.
little bit of a domino
Yeah,
effect,
I'm,
right?
I'm a firm believer that you make or break your implementation, and for that matter, your experience with Workday, in this phase, right? The,
Yeah.
the readiness piece, the change management piece, the business process design.
Scoping piece too,
Yeah,
right? Choosing
absolutely.
the right amount of scope
Yep.
at the beginning,
Right. The right partner.
right?
Yep.
Not too little, not too much, because if you take on too much,
Yeah.
and you also need to make some decisions, even if you want to be ambitious. There's nothing wrong with trying to be ambitious in terms of scope,
Sure.
but you have to be able to be ready to understand what items, if issues come up along the way that were unanticipated, which
Yeah.
as they tend to do,
Right.
what parts that you can jettison, maybe is not the right word, but you can then
Deprioritize
you
a bit. Yep.
deprioritize
Yep.
and put into the roadmap,
Yeah.
for either a second phase
Yep.
or post implementation.
Yeah, and as we've discussed, right, I think if you check all those boxes on the front end, that makes the AMS piece a lot more efficient and effective, where you're really tackling the key issues and you're not doing, just day-to-day maintenance. And it all goes back to the front end with this advisory piece. And I think adding a resource or two on the front end to sit on the client side and act on behalf of your best interests as the client goes a long way, to kind of being that bridge between, Workday and you, and you yourself and the partner as well.